Hi everybody, this is Eugene O'Loughlin and welcome to my series of short how-to videos. In this video we're going to learn how to perform the Kruskal-Wallis test and we're going to do it in SPSS. Now before we conduct the test, let's take a quick look at the data set that I'm going to use here. Now I've artificially created this data set, so it's not based on any actual data, just three different data sets for the purposes of illustration here. So I have in my group 1, I have 18 values and I've got artificial scores ranging from 1 up to 3, 4, 2. Then I've got group 2 and then I have a set of variables for group 3. And I'd like to know if there's a significant difference between these three groups. Now normally I will compare means and you conduct an ANOVA test, analysis of variance, but here normality is in doubt due to the range of the data, particularly in groups 1 and group 2. So normality is in doubt, therefore a more appropriate test may well be the Kruskal-Wallis test. So there's two different methods of doing this here. One gives a lot of information, one gives little information. So I'm going to show you both methods. So let's start with the Analyze menu. Scroll down to non-parametric test because the Kruskal-Wallis test is non-parametric. And we have three independent samples here, so I'm going to use the independent samples option in this menu. So select that. And this gives us a window here that we need to make some changes to. So first of all, our objective, now I'm going to leave this as it is. It just says automatically compare distributions across the group, so that's what I want to do. Choose the second tab, which is the Fields tab at the top left of the screen here. And you can see that I've only got two variables, scores and groupings. So groupings, that's the categorical data. And so I'm going to put that into the groups at the bottom. And scores I'm going to put into the test fields. I can drag and drop or I've just used the copy options here. And finally in the third tab, if I need to make further changes, I'm going to let SPSS automatically choose the test based on the data, so it should know that there are three groups. But if you're in any doubt, select the radio button and you will see that there's an option in here to select the Kruskal-Wallis test. So I'm going to switch this back to automatic. In the test options item here, you can see the significance level defaults to 0.05. Now I'm going to leave it at that. But if you needed to change this to, say, for example, 0.01, this is where you would do that. So we're going to go back to the Fields tab. I'm happy with the variables where they are. And the Run button at the bottom of this screen here, I'm going to hit that button now. So this gives us quite a bit of output, but the first and most important one we want to look at is the summary, the test summary of this test. It gives us our null hypothesis, which tells us that the distribution of scores is the same across the category of grouping. So scores, that's our test scores, sample scores in this case here. It's figured out that it's a Kruskal-Wallis test, so it has automatically generated that test. It gives us a significance value of 0.025. That value is less than our significance alpha value of 0.05. Therefore, we have sufficient evidence to reject the null hypothesis. So our decision here is that we have found a difference between at least two of the three groups. So let's go on further and see if we can glean some more information as a result of this. So we get a table here with our summary of our results. Our test statistic, our Kruskal-Wallis test statistic is 7.355, so you'll need that when you're reporting your result. And you can see that the significance level p-value is 0.025 as it is in the table above. This output will also give you a box plot comparing the three distributions, and you can see that group 1 and group 2 have potential outliers in here which could be the cause of the significant difference between the three groups. It will also conduct a pairwise comparison of these groups to tell you where the difference lies. So we can see in the first line here that group 1 and group 2 has an adjusted significance of 0.525. Now that's not less than our significance value of 0.05. Therefore there's no significant difference between group 1 and group 2. Group 1 and Group 3, however, we have found a significant difference as our adjusted significance is 0.02. That is less than 0.05. Therefore, there is a significant difference between Group 1 and 3. And we can also see that there's no significant difference between Group 2 and Group 3. So we now know where the differences are. We can also get a visual on this. Difference between Group 1 and 3 is highlighted here in blue. We get also some other outputs here as well. Not terribly useful for you. The key in here is, first of all, the output, the summary, and then when you find a difference, you will get a pairwise comparison of the groupings to tell you where those differences are. So we have found a significant difference between these three groups of artificial data. There's a second way of conducting this test, so I'm going to choose the Analyze menu again. Once again, go down to non-parametric tests, and this time go to Legacy Dialogues. And in here we've got several options. In this case here, I want to look for these, my three groups are independent of each other. So I'm going to choose K for independent groups. So if I had 3 or 4 or 5 groups, this is the option I would choose. Then scores goes into the test variable list here, and my groupings go into the grouping variable. Now this is slightly awkward. Now this time you have to define the range of the groupings. Now my grouping values are 1 for group 1, 2 for group 2, and 3 for group 3. So my range is going to be 1 to 5. So let's put that in. Define the range. The minimum value is 1, and the maximum value is 3. We don't need to put in 2. SPSS can work that out. So click on continue. We can see now that the Kruskal-Wallis test type is already checked here. So I'm going to accept that and click on OK. And we don't get as much output this time, just 2 little tables. Look at the second one first with our test statistics. These are the same answers as we got in the previous version of the test. Our Kruskal-Wallis test statistic is 7.355 and our p-value is 0.025. Once again, that's less than 0.05. Therefore, this tells us we reject the null hypothesis. But what can be useful here is it does display the mean ranks, the values for the mean ranks. So group 1, the mean rank was 20.39, group 2, 27.5, and group 3, 34.61. And we have found a significant difference between at least 2 of those ranks, group 1 and group 3. So those mean rank values are also the values that are on this diagram up here. The group 2 value is obscured, so the other table will give you an indication of what that value is. So that's how you perform a Kruskal-Wallis test in SPSS. I hope you found this video useful. Thank you for your